All right, so it looks like we have a decent crowd so far. People may come and go, but yeah. So if you want to, if you have a deck here or something you want to share, there's share screen at the bottom. Feel free to click that. Introduce yourself, and I will. And there's a little chat area on the side. If you want to dip in to answer questions, I will be back. Like I said, I've got to dip out for a second, but I'll be back. So
sounds good.
Yeah, with that, feel free to start presenting. And thank you guys for attending. This will be posted online in a couple of days. So without further ado, Sam, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think people are coming. We can get started. We'll just do the quick intro. So today we're going to talk about how to integrate account engagement with GA4 to track your website engagement. And we will deep dive. So quick introduction. My name is Sabuhi Yahyayev. I'm Marketing Automation Practice Lead at CloudKettle. I'm also a Halifax Trailblazer community leader and also marketing champion. So what's the agenda today? We are going to talk about Google Analytics data model and kind of touch base. What are the differences between Google Analytics Universal and GA4 if you're just kind of starting to explore GA4 as a marketing operation person? We will talk about understanding GA4 events. What are the events? What are the parameters? Kind of touch the surface a little bit. It's going to help us further down on the slides to understand how actually we are pushing data from account engagement to Google Analytics. We will talk about the GA tracking and events framework. What are the tools we will use to push data from your website, your account engagement form to Google Analytics? Of course, deep dive on the account engagement forms, quickly go over the steps, and the final step is going to be we are going to do a live demo. So I will follow the instructions that I have my own blog post exactly, and we will do in our demo org, and hopefully everything works. And after this session, you can go watch the video again or just to follow the same step that I will follow. Before I dive in, I will quickly check if there are any questions. Perfect. So I will continue. Once in a while, I will go to QA, kind of check the Q&A sidebar to see if there is anything. So Google Analytics GA4 data model. Just start with is the way Google Analytics Universal, which is the GA3, aka GA3, and GA4, they track things differently. And of course, GA3 Universal Analytics is no longer available. Even if you have on your website, it's not going to capture any data. So the main things when it comes to is how the data model or how data capture is structured. So in Universal Analytics, everything was around hit, sessions, and page views. In Google Analytics side, everything is event. So anything that you do on the website, for example, as a user, you go to a website where they have a Google Analytics and you enter the website, the page view event will be triggered. If you scroll on your website, on that website, it's going to be another event triggered to Google Analytics server. If you configure the custom event that's similar to what we are going to do, you submit the form, you can create a custom event called lead, form submission, etc. So everything designed around events. And of course, we are just talking about the data model, and then that's not a topic for this session, but there are some other areas where Google Analytics Universal kind of differs from the GA4. Like it comes how they capture the data, how the reporting looks like, and so on. So, but I will, at the end of the session, I'm going to include a couple of blog posts where you can kind of, if you are interested to see like, hey, what are the differences, you can deep dive. So understanding GA4 events. In Google Analytics 4, as we talked, everything is event. And there are events that are automatically collected. What does it mean that? Those are the events pre-built for you in Google Analytics. And whenever you visit the website, for example, page view, you cannot control that. Page view will automatically trigger. You can also trigger an event called page view, but not recommended since it is automatically collected. So there will be first session event, and there will be for first scroll event. So there are so many automatically collected events that exist in GA4. On top of that, there are enhanced measurement. If you use Google Analytics Universal, remember sometimes you had to go, hey, I would like to see what percentage of the website people are scrolling to. To do that, you will create your custom event. But in GA4, they are automatically available, but is optional. So if you just implemented GA4, and most likely if you are working with the agency, they enabled that for you already. But if not, it's a quick toggle where you can enable enhanced measurement, and that's going to capture like outbound clicks. There's a like scroll, video play, etc. So there are like additional enhanced measurement events available for you. But it doesn't end there. On top of that, if you're running an e-commerce website, it's not available by default, but Google Analytics created recommended events for you. So you don't have to think about it. So, okay, I'm designing something for my checkout page. I would like to trigger an event when someone checks out or when someone adds the item to a basket. I would like to trigger certain events. So they pre-build the event names for you, and you have to configure on the back end how you would like to kind of trigger the recommended events. And the last but is custom events. That's what we are going to kind of try to achieve by at the end of this call. We will aim to create a custom event when you fill out your Pardot form, you click a submit, and you would like to capture that in Google Analytics. And the last piece about the GA4 events, if you use Google Analytics Universal, and if you're created any custom event in Universal Analytics, you will remember that you have to provide, and not have to, but it was a best practice, you will have a category, action, and label. With each custom event, those are the 3 values that you can kind of append to the event. But in Google Analytics 4, that's not the case. So you have an event name, and you should have up to 20 or 25 custom parameters that you can append. So what the parameter is, if you would like to send additional information with your event, so you send something to Google Analytics from your website, and you send a form submission. But together with the form submission, you would like to add some additional data points. Yes, you can do it, and with the parameters. By default, there are parameters you don't have to kind of append. So page title, for example, screen resolution, they are sent together with event parameters. So if you visit the website, page view event triggered to Google Analytics server, at the same time with that event, there will be event parameters, and the page title, screen resolution will be captured. So you don't have to do anything. One thing to keep in mind that here, especially, it was the same situation for Google Analytics Universal, that PII data, personal identifiable information, you should make sure that you never include any data that can be email address, phone number, when you send that data to Google Analytics server. Yes, if you capture your users by their email address, then if you want to send that information as a user ID, then you need to make sure that that information is hashed. So there should be nothing that you send Google Analytics that includes the PII data. I'm toggling between screens, and I will come back to your questions at the end. I see a couple of questions already, but I will kind of visit back. So GA4 tracking and events framework. How does this work? So you have your website. Probably either you are working as a marketing automation specialist, or you are working at marketing, or you are working on the Salesforce side. Regardless where you work, if you are dealing with the Google Analytics, most likely you have a Google Tag Manager installed on a website. If you haven't heard about the Google Tag Manager, highly recommend go and kind of look a couple of YouTube videos and talk to your web team to install it for you. Because if you're a marketer and you're continuously working different scripts, and it can be the Facebook scripts, it can be the other conversion scripts, or if you are the content syndication and you would like to track conversion on the content syndication, you will have their script on your website. So it doesn't make sense to go back to the web developer team and every time ask, like, can you please add this script? Can you please add this script? Instead, every company right now, they have instructions how to enable the script in Google Tag Manager so it doesn't break the website. So make sure, and that's one of the reasons this Tag Manager platforms came, the kind of appeared because there was a need for marketers to quickly kind of install scripts and making sure that they are able to track things. So if you have a Google Tag Manager, and most likely you have a GA4 installed already. If you haven't, please do, because your Google Analytics Universal no longer accepts any data. So what happens there, when a user visits your website, Google Tag Manager will trigger the GA tracking code. This is your Google Analytics tracking code that will send the event to Google Analytics server. Okay, so the Google Analytics tracking code fired, GA4 sends the event to Google Analytics server. Together, and then this will be the same approach for us as well. So our aim is going to be how we can get Google Tag Manager fire an event to Google Analytics server. And this example, for example, by default, we fire page view, but you can also fire form submit, which we will do in this example. Go back quickly. Okay, all looks good. So when it comes to account engagement forms, there are two different scenarios, maybe even three, but we will just keep the two cases. Scenario one, you are using embedded iframe forms. That will require a different instruction how to enable, and that will be what we are going to cover today. And another way you will integrate your Pardot forms on your website will be through a form handler. And if you're using a form handler, it's most likely either you are using some kind of a plugin available for you, and if you're in a WordPress website, that will plug in. If you are using a Webflow or other platforms, they will have built-in a configuration where they will automatically trigger event. So the reason we are not covering form handler today, because it's not a one solution fits everyone. Every form handler implementation requires its own configuration. But if you have any questions that you currently have a form handler or you're using a form handler, still cannot figure out, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will be more than happy to help. But we will focus on forms, and the instructions I have on a LinkedIn page is actually for embedded forms. So that the logic, the way it works, you need two pieces of code, JavaScript code, and it's like simple code. It doesn't interfere any code on your website. So one of them will be added on Pardot, and we are going to add it to thank you page, where we can, on a thank you page, you can include the script that will fire an event. So that if you kind of familiar with the iframe forms, iframe is a kind of window on your page. So and then in order to communicate with your website, there should be some kind of a communication. So what we are doing here, the small JavaScript that we will add on a thank you page, it's going to send the event to the parent frame, to the window. And we will have a listener in the outside on our website that will listen to that event. As soon as there's a match, then we are going to fire an event to Google Analytics. It may sound a little bit complex, but once we do a demo quickly, if you kind of go over the demo, kind of review it together, it will be really clear. Still, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out. Next step. So, and this is the last slide before actually we are going to deep dive on how we are going to do it on a Pardot form. So the first step is we are going to add event trigger to account engagement form. We are going to add the event listener that listens to the event trigger from Pardot form, like outside of the iframe window. And we are going to configure Google Tag Manager to capture these events and fire event to Google Analytics server. An additional configuration that we can do on Google Analytics side, if you are familiar with the goals in Google Analytics Universal, they're kind of similar to conversions in Google Analytics 4. So optionally, we will configure it as well. Okay. Any questions before I jump on the demo? So there's one question. What if the website without a purchase card, but the purchase is on Salesforce opportunity? Oh, that's a good point. If you stick by the end of this presentation, there's a new thing that we are going to release soon that will enable you to send Salesforce data through Pardot external account engagement external action to Google Analytics. So Gil, I like stay tuned. Once we done the demo, I will show I will briefly mention about it. Okay. Cool. I will stop sharing and switch to the window because it's going to be easier. So let's go to window. Here you go. So the first thing we are going to do, this is our account engagement instance. It's a test instance. It's a fictitious company called Next Data, Next Inc. So we have our request demo form. And of course, we have our landing page as well. So let's go to the landing page. So first thing, what we have to do, we need to go to our form so we can add a script. So the way it works, if you are showing a thank you page on your website, instead of sending an external URL, this is the kind of the approach you have to implement. So you have the thank you code. What happens in account engagement, when you submit a form, any script that you have on thank you code page, it will fire. And we will take advantage of this because this is a perfect way to set up your conversion, either for Google Analytics or for other platforms. This is where you're going to fire kind of event. And to do so, let me this is the blog post probably I will share. You will have access after this call. So this is the first script that we are going to grab from here. So let's copy it here and come to our form and here. So the one thing you need to make sure to change is this line. And it's important to do that because you don't have to deal with the cross domain blocking. So in this case, we are going to say, hey, send this to primary domain. And our domain name that we are going to use for this demo is the next thing XYZ. Okay. So this is step one. Again, simple code, copy paste. Here, event name, we put the form submit, but you can also change this to form submission. Okay, let's say the form submission for this demo because we will create a listener on Google Tag Manager side as well. So let's say form submission and confirm save. So the work on a form side is done. Let's go to our landing page. So this is our landing page, and we have an embedded form. Of course, you can connect your form directly here, but since we are showing a demo of the iframe form, I just embedded here. We have a form URL here, and this is the exact code I copy pasted from this screen. If I go back to the same blog post, I scroll down, and this is the next piece of the code that you have to include. So of course, you can also grab this one, change the URL, add your URL, or copy paste from this HTML code page. View HTML code you can grab from here. So let's go to blog post and grab the script. I'm back here. And it's better if you include just right after iframe code. And if you're on a website and you can ask your developers hey, to make sure that this code appears after the that line, the iframe form, that should work properly. Okay, so we're going to save it, and we'll just say confirm and save. So we will navigate back to Google Tag Manager to capture the custom event. And the way we do it, this is again test account. Every time you create the custom event, you have to create a new tag. So let's go and say new tag, and we will call it GA4 form submission. Tag configuration, you will select GA4 event. There's a specific tag available for you, so you select tag type. And here we are going to select GA4 tracking. This is a variable that I already saved in the instance. And then you will put a name, the event that you would like to send to Google Analytics. For here, you say, I would like to form submission. Okay. So we configured our tag configuration, but there should be something that triggers this. So let's go and create a trigger. So I will create a new custom event trigger, and we will call it C event, form submission. I'm using C as a custom, if kind of like the naming convention. And we'll click here and it will scroll down. We'll say custom event. And we want to make sure that naming is exactly the same. And we will say form submission. Save it. Cool. So we have our new tag. We configure our tag. We decided what the event name we would like to send to Google Analytics. And next step, when it's going to trigger. In this case, when we submit a form, there will be data layer event, and Google Tag Manager will continuously listen to that. And when this happens, there will be event sent to Google Analytics. Save. And we can preview this. So this is our URL of the page. So request demo page where we just added, and hopefully everything will work good. So every time you kind of preview your forms, there are multiple ways you can see if the event is being fired or not. So let's go enable both of them. In Tag Manager, this is the preview mode where you are going to see all the events. So for example, right now when the page is loaded, there are only one tag fired, which is the main Google Analytics 4 tracking. And we can also go to Debug View. Here, as you see, I joined the website. There's a session start. It kind of tracks me. You can, if you go to Admin and Debug View, you can also see kind of in timely manner what's happening on the website. But let's go here and let's submit and say, get a demo. Thanks. Here you go. So when we clicked on a submitted demo, this is form submission that appeared here. So of course, tag we were expecting to fire was a form submission. It was succeeded. Let's go back to Analytics. What we need to see here is form submission event. So right now, every time you submit a form from within the iframe, if you deploy in a similar way, there will be event sent to Google Analytics. Okay. And we can see the details of like form submission. If there are any variables, we'll send. There was no custom parameter, etc. So the next thing what we can do, it's not on a blog post, but we can append additional information every time we send data to Google Analytics. For example, with this form submission, you would like to add the form that was submitted, maybe the form name, you would like to say a form type, or anything that you would like to send together with that request, you can add through custom parameter. Okay, let's go. I'm going to just end this, finish it right now. Let's go configure it. And the way you do it, it's not on that article that I have on LinkedIn, but since you are attending this event, it should be kind of easy for you to follow. So if you go to completion action, I will quickly check the chat window if there's anything. Okay, I will come back to that. So we'll go back to form. Let's go to form and thank you code. And let's say here you would like to say, and I know I used the form name already. I'm just going to say form location. Okay, so you would like to see like which form is being filled out. And for here, I'm going to say footer. And let's go to comma so it doesn't break. Form location footer, and let's save it. So what we just did, together with event name form submission, we are sending additional information to our parent window, like outside of our iframe form, and called form location footer. Okay. And confirm and save. And let's go edit our code. So we're pushing to our iframe wrapper, and we have to have something to accept that. So we'll go here and we'll say event name was the event name. Let's come here. Let's assign another value. Say form location. And we can also use the form location here. And we can push another. I mean, you can use a different name what you put, but just keep it consistent. I will use the same naming convention across the board. So form location. Okay. So what we did, we are getting form location from iframe form, and we are going to push it to the data layer by using event we are going to push, and we are going to push the form location. Okay, let's save it. And let's publish it. Good. There's one more thing we have to do. We have to create a variable so we can capture that form location before we go and create a kind of custom parameter. And the way we do it is you will create a user-defined variable, and we can say form location. Here you can say data layer variable, and just put the name form location. Okay. Perfect. That variable we just created, we create as user-defined variable inside the GTM. Let's go revise the recently created tag and add a custom parameter. So, and adding a parameter is just like as simple as going to like navigate to Google Tag Manager configuration, click event parameters, add a row, and you can call it form location. And we will select the variable that we just created. Okay. And we click save. Now, hopefully, when we go to preview again, we should be able to see the form location. Oh, maybe one thing before we do that, we have to assign actually value for our form. And let's say maybe you are using this form in the footer. Yeah, actually we have it. Sorry, I already did it. Okay, let's go here. So tag assistant is live there, so we'll be able to see when a form is submitted. And let's go ahead and say get a demo. Okay, so hopefully event fired. Form submission, we go here, and we check the variables. Here you go, form location, footer. So what we just did, and you can assign it dynamically if you are using multiple forms in different pages, or if you are creating form for each the white paper, you can also assign the name of the name of the asset. Or if you would like to send the category information to Google Analytics, you can include. So for example, if you would like to say, hey, if I'm analyzing my resources, what are the channels bring are people more interested in our white papers, webinars, or ebooks? And you can analyze the channel data that way. Or if you would like to push and you are doing integration between GA4 and the GA4 and BigQuery, you can also send the campaign data every time form is submitted if you have that campaign data on your website. For example, on our CloudKettle website, and if you're a developer, you feel free to go and check out. We capture the CRM ID for each asset. That kind of helps us have single form for multiple assets versus creating the form for each asset. So we have like 4 form handlers that we use for everything on our website. Okay. So if I go back here, and if also I click here on another debug view, and I can scroll, see form location and information's footer. So that custom parameter is sent. Again, this custom parameter is not limited to only one single data point we need to set. Before I jump in like how this data will look like on GA4, like I just want to highlight one more point. So, and maybe if you remember at the beginning, I mentioned about the goals in Universal Analytics and conversions in GA4. So right now, of course, they're no longer goals. Everything's sent as an event, but you're sending so many events. None of them are really, it's possible only 1 out of 10 custom events you are sending is important. You may also send the event if someone clicks input field on your form. That's also possible. But clicking input field is not a success metrics probably for you. But instead, you would like to make sure that when someone submits the form, that's what I'm looking for. That's my goal. That's my conversion. So you will assign any event as a conversion, and it's a really straightforward process. It used to be really complicated process in Google Analytics Universal, but it's really easy in GA4. And you will get the conversions. The events that you see here, okay, if you just implement it, for example, if you go ahead and implement this GA4 integration today, any event that you are sending to Google Analytics, it will appear after 24 hours. So you may not able to see right away here. So don't be afraid that, hey, data is not captured. But the one way, if analyzing that I will show in a second, you can check the real time or debug view to analyze is actually you are sending the event, custom event to Google Analytics. And one way of assigning an event as a conversion, for example, first visit is not a conversion for me. I would like to, when a form submission happens, that's a conversion. That's the kind of main point what I'm looking for. Since we just created the custom events, they're not appearing here. But what we can do, you can head out to conversions. If you remember your event name, you can create it manually. For our use case, we're just going to say form submission and save. Okay, so we have form submit and form submission. Those are two events that we currently have. And let's go and see, make a quick test and see how they appear in debug view. Okay, let's navigate back. I'm going to close this window and open again, reopen. So this is our form. And let's say get a demo. We'll see again another form submission. And if I go back to debug view, hopefully I will see something with a green flag. Okay, it came over. Scroll. Here you go. So because it's a conversion, compared to form submission, which was a just event, you are going to see as a like green flag, and it's going to show you, hey, this is a conversion that happened. So I will stop sharing. I will navigate back to the questions. So a couple of questions people have. So one I asked is, this is just for Plus Edition. Doesn't matter. This will work for all your the account engagement forms, because as long as you have a form, you have a thank you code page, you can just copy paste this code and this will work fine. And of course, you will need the Google Analytics to make it work. The other question you have, yes, it works with the embedded forms. The solution that I'm sharing is primarily for embedded forms. It's not for form handler. Form handler approach, to be honest, is way easier than this. The challenge with the embedded forms that you have to have a script that sends the data to your iframe, the kind of boundary, and then accept from there. Okay. Yes, Jill, we are going to share the link to the LinkedIn article. So let's go back and see, hey, we talked about all those events. What's the benefit? Like, why we are tracking the events? So I'm going to kind of pull up the demo account, Google Analytics demo account. And if you want to practice, you can also, like, Google Analytics will give you a demo account. So this is a demo account. I don't know where this data coming from, but probably it's anonymized data. So if I go back, there are a couple of places you can navigate to reports. And remember, I said that you can see the events real time, and you will click just the real time, and you can scroll down, and you will see event count by event name. So you have a page view event, you have a user engagement event. Those are some of them are built in, and some of them kind of created as a custom events. Okay. And if I go back to acquisition overview, so this will be the place you will see, hey, how many sessions per channel I'm getting, what's going on, am I getting more organic search, paid search, what's the conversion per channel? And you can say view traffic acquisition report. And here you're going to see the full channel group. You can change it and show source or medium, etc. But let's keep it simple and do the channel group. And next, you can navigate. So if you have your custom events, what you would like to see, hey, I have a form submission. I would like to see which channel brings more form submissions. And you will come to all your events from here. Of course, our event is not going to appear here, but let's say for this use case, we are selecting the purchase. And we can kind of select the purchase, rank it. So as you see, for purchase event, there are like direct is number 1, organic search, email, cross network, etc. And you can deep dive on the kind of source medium. If you're running a campaign, you can also do the campaign level. And from there, you can also go the conversion. Okay, my first event was add to cart. And from this add to cart, what's the conversion? Like, what's the number of conversions happening on the website? And again, for B2B, it might be a little bit different, but you can also track if you have, for example, Calendly, how many people opening a Calendly. So when someone opens the Calendly, you can fire an event in your Google Analytics, and you can compare against how many of them are completed. And then you can come back here and like, okay, there are like, I don't know, like 1,000 events fired when someone opened a Google Calendly, but only 50 of them were completed. They booked the calendar, booked the event, and you can come back and it's like, okay, what are the channels actually? Is it, and you can go to based on technology as well. It's like, hey, what's the abundance rate? Are people more willing to book an event when they are visiting the kind of calendar page from mobile device or online? Or what are the channel brings? So you can customize, like maybe if you are getting more from social, people from social are more willing to book through the Calendly, then maybe you will highlight something on your social ad, or you bring up this information with your demand marketing team. When next time they design a campaign, maybe they can highlight, hey, quick 2 steps to book your next call. So adding that message in your kind of campaign can have a significant impact. Okay, I think, so let me go back to the slide. 1 second. So I think, okay, I have one more slide that I will go over it. And if you, after that, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So the resources, of course, the first one, and we are going to share as well. I will share with Ben, and he will send it to you in a kind of webinar follow-up. This is the first one, is exact what we covered in this call. Next one is GA4 versus Universal Analytics, key differences. It's a blog post. I think it's analyticsmania.com. He has lots of videos, really great videos that covering the differences and how you can configure your event beyond what will you do in Pardot. The coming soon, if you follow CloudKettle or myself on LinkedIn, later this week, we are going to release Salesforce Account Engagement, Google Analytics for integration via external action. So what will it do? And of course, that will be a blog post where you can follow the step-by-step how to enable it through Engagement Studio. But you will be able to, if you follow that instructions, you will be able to capture kind of client ID, which is the key required when you send the data to Google Analytics. But by using the client ID, and you can push any data that you would like to send on the Salesforce, of course, not PI data. You will be able to send lead status. So you have a user that visited your website and maybe submitted the form, but later on it was a marketing qualified, or the lead was disqualified. So you will be able to send that data to Google Analytics. And in Google Analytics, using this Salesforce data, you can create your audiences. If it's a marketing qualified lead, of course, you would like to create the audience for all your marketing qualified leads and show them maybe a bit more in your advertising Google ads, show them more relevant ads. Or you don't want to spend money on your disqualified ads, or you have a nurtured leads, you would like to show them even more, or you will want to share them instead of sending them a directly request demo because they just requested, but it didn't go anywhere. You would like to target them with your white paper or any report that you kind of get, like in Forrester, Gartner report, etc., that you would like. So stay tuned. It will go. I was aiming to get it ready for today, but of course, I just came from vacation. Time was a little bit limited. But hopefully by end of this week, you will have access to that. And it will be unmagnet package for now. we are aiming to get a managed package that you can install directly from Salesforce. But for now, it will be an unmanaged package, and you will have all the information you need to enable it. Okay. Ben, I think that was it on my side. I don't know.
Yep, sounds like it. Sounds like we're all good. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you everybody for attending. This is being recorded, and so I will take the recording. I will put it on the community group page. Plus, I will put it on the Pardot Geeks page, and Sav, you can do with it whatever you want. I'll send you the link as well. But yeah, no, thank you so much. This was super insightful. This is a topic that is obviously very very prevalent with the rolling out of G4 being as kind of big in the news right now as it becomes more kind of utilized, because I think 360 is gone now, right?
Yeah, so it's not gone, but my feeling that a couple of clients, because like they're getting rid of Optimizely, they're getting rid of some other like side products. I kind of feel that will have a sunset day as well. It's not gone completely, but I'm pretty sure, because the logic in GA4 completely makes difference than the old approach. So they will definitely have a sunset date.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would like to share real quick. So we do have some upcoming meetings. This one, obviously, we just did. There's 2 more scheduled. There's one in August. There's 2 in August, actually, with a customization for B2B MA dashboards. And then from summer 23, the ability to copy assets between business units in Pardot. That is Erin Duncan's going to do a walkthrough on how that works, because she tried it out, successfully passed the data between the assets between different business units. And then there's one that I haven't posted here yet. It's going to be in early September. That is going to be a how-to for how to implement multi-language support using I believe it's JavaScript on a Pardot form. That is something that these both came as a result of a blog post, and I was like, that would be great. I asked the authors if they wanted to present. They said sure. So yeah, that'll be coming soon. If you have something that you want to present about, something that you feel like others should know about, if you have a hack, if you have some kind of specific use case, some kind of problem that you solved, or something that others should know about, please feel free to reach out. My email I will put is in the chat here. Ben Lamoth at let's see, HE at Trailblazer BLAZERCGL.com. If you have something, feel free to do that. If we're connected on LinkedIn, ping me there. I'm always happy to have guest speakers who want to share something with the group, with the larger community. But yeah, so there's more coming. There's going to be a bit of a lull around Dreamforce, because I'll be at Dreamforce, and so it's going to be I'll just not be available. But yes, if you have something for the rest of the year, I'm taking suggestions. Hit me up on Slack, hit me up on email, hit me up on LinkedIn, whatever. But Saab, thank you so much. This is great. Feel free to come back again if you have something else you want to share and walk through. Open invitation. Just ping me, and we'll get something on the calendar.
Sounds good. Thank you for having.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.